Okay, so the question is find an equation of the hyperbola described. Graph the equation. So first what we're giving is this formula sheet, and here are the information: vertices at -2, -1, and 10, -1, and asymptote is that y plus 1 equals 7/6 times the quantity x minus 4. So in order to do this, right, you're going to be given this formula sheet. So first, kind of like jot down the vertices, whatever the information that you're given, so that you can determine whether the hyperbola is going to open left or right, left and right, or up and down. So if I jot the vertices down, then you can see that it's going to be opening left and right. Right, because vertices is the, if you want to look at it in terms of a parabola, that will be like the vertex. So it's going to be opening something like this. Okay, so what we're looking at is this first equation here. Okay, so now let me just go to the next page. Okay, so now let's take a look. Since we're given the vertices is at -2, -1, and look at the formula, if the hyperbola opens left and right, here is the formula. Where is it? Center is h, k, foci is at h plus or minus c, k, and here the vertice formula, which is h plus or minus a, k. So what we need to do is we need to find, of course, h and a k, and c and a. Then we should be able to find the b as well, because here's the equation to how to find the b, this value of b. All right, and then yeah, so let's try to figure this out. Okay, so first our vertices is given by, what is that, h plus or minus a, k. So this is given, so this whole thing better equal to -2, -1, and then also this better equal to 10, -1. So that means that our k, this value is going to be -1. Yay, one value done. So here, let me just write it out. K equals to -1, and that's for sure now. Okay, now let's try to determine the center. Now the center, I should have drawn this picture much bigger. Center is the center, of course, the dead center between two vertices. So here, since our x values here is 10, and then x value here is -2, so what's the total distance? That will be 12, right? So what is half of 12? That will be 6. So from the vertices, you're gonna move 6 units. So you're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here is going to be your center. So let me just jot that out. So, oh goodness, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then over here. So that's gonna be our center. So it looks like our center is gonna be at the y value is going to be -1, and what's the x value here? X is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it looks like center is going to be at 4, -1. So here, let me just write it out. Center is given by the formula h, k. So now we know what the value of h is, because we're going to have the center to be 4, -1. So that implies that h equals to 4. Now we still have to find the value of a and a c, so that way, oh sorry, which one am I pointing at? A and a c, and then from there we can find our value for b. So there are many ways that you can do, but let's just use the asymptote. You're given the equation of the asymptote, so here it is. Our asymptote equation is going to be y minus k equals to plus or minus b over a times x minus h, right? Because we're looking at the hyperbola that's going to open left and right. So let me just write that out. So we know that asymptote formula is going to be y minus k equals to, well, in this case, it looks like we're given positive 7/6, right? So let's just keep it as b over a times the x minus h. Okay, so now what do we have? So right now we have y plus 1 equals to 7 over 6 and then x and then minus 4 because h is 4. Okay, so now that implies that this is same thing as y minus minus 1, right? Because this should make sense because we already know what the value of k is. K better be negative 1. So here, this k value better be negative 1. All right, so then here we're going to have 7 over 6 x minus 4. So that means that b better equal to 7. And then our a, let me change the color, a better equal to 6. So let's write that out. So that implies that b is 7 and then our a is 6. Right, so let me just box all of this. Now from here we should be able to find the value of c. So how do you find that? Is you're going to have to use this equation here. So we got b squared equals to c squared minus the a squared. So that means that c squared is going to be a squared plus the b squared. All right, so that means that we're going to have c squared is a, which is 6 squared, plus b, which is 7 squared, which is, what is that, 85? Okay, let me just bring it over here. So that implies that our c is going to be plus or minus the square root of 85. Let me box that. But you know what? I don't think we need the value of c because this is just asking us to find the equation of the hyperbola, right? So what we're looking at is we want to try to come up with this equation here. So we already got ourselves h, k, a, and a b, right? So I guess I didn't have to do this part c here. Okay, so I think we're almost done. So let me just go to the next page. Okay, so I just basically copy and pasted what we got so far, but I just erased the c part because I don't need it. So the equation is gonna look something like this. So our equation better look like x minus h squared over a squared minus the y minus k squared over b squared equals to 1. So now all we have to do is just kind of like plug and chug the numbers that we got. So it looks like we're gonna have x minus, what the heck was my h, 4 squared, and then over a squared. So a squared is gonna be 36, and then minus y minus k. K was negative 1, so this is gonna become plus 1. Whole thing over b squared, 7 squared is 49, equals to 1. And I think this should be the answer. Oh, oops, I forgot to put the square right there. Yep, I think that should be the answer.